Well, everybody's here. We'll call the meeting to order then. Everybody's had a chance to review the agenda. We have no addendum. Any declaration of conflict of interest? No. Okay, keep going. Business arising from the minutes. I have one right off the top. It says under call to order, says Chair Roy called the infrastructure services meeting to order. I didn't. I wasn't here. So I'll have to swap that out. Anything else, Jim?
No, you caught the one I saw.
Okay. All right, we have no public presentations, so that moves us into 7.1. The fleet management. Okay, so this is the one we're looking at replacing that backhoe, right, Katie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's critical to the operations 12 months of the year. We use it a lot for winter snow removal, but we use it all year round.
Yeah.
And based on trying to find even a part for this equipment, in discussions with our mechanic, it's so difficult. I can hear him on the phone daily trying to get parts and source parts, and sometimes it takes him an entire afternoon just to find the equipment that we need. So by providing us with some pre-budget approval, we can go out, look at it. Even if we can get it ordered, we'll be lucky to get it for January. If we wait till January, or worse, wait till later in the year once the budget's approved, which moves into, and it could possibly be, well, it'll be a new council, so we could be looking into March before we pass the budget. We're not going to have that piece of equipment available for us.
Now, okay, that replaces the 2005. Is that the one we bought from Bob Summers?
Oh gosh, I don't know that answer to that question.
We bought one new one a couple years back, right?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Okay,
when
so
I started, yeah.
Yeah, that one was purchased from Bob Summers. It is, yeah, it's an older one. It's an 05, you said?
Yeah.
So it's getting tired. The only thing I had was I didn't remember putting that much money in for a sweeper. I remember putting in, I thought we were just going to rent a sweeper for this year because of the new fire truck. So I didn't realize we had put that in the budget. But what do you have to say on that one, Jim?
The sweeper?
Well, a sweeper, backhoe. I think the backhoe.
Okay, I mean, I'm all for the backhoe. Absolutely. I mean, and if I think I've heard through the grapevine, the sweeper, I think administration and staff did an exceptional job of finding I mean, almost pristine secondhand sweeper. Unbelievable. And I was threatened to get pulled into the last sweeper go for a ride just to see how bad it was. And apparently this one's is a luxury model. So I'm happy with that. But the backhoe, thank you for the information, Roy, on where the last backhoe possibly came from. But I think it's seen its time. I've seen a couple of operators. I remember way back, it was Jean, Jean, who used to be your operator on the backhoe forever. And I see him go through maybe 2 backhoes. So I think this one here is due. Yeah, and the money, I'm looking at your fleet plan there, Katie. It looks like, we've been looking into this here, or somebody's been planning for this, correct? Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. Prior to 2012, we had a lot of very old equipment in Public Works. Public Works provides the most services, touches the most services that residents use, and we also have the most complaints. So providing Public Works with the proper tools in order to do their job to the best of their ability is important, and pouring money into repairs is just throwing good money after bad. year over year. So councils have done a great job in bringing up our fleet to a more current. And this is just one of our older models. So if we can stay current, it puts us in line as well with the asset management policies that the province has put out. So I think this is a step in the right direction. I know it's a lot of money, but it's the cost of doing business and providing the services.
I've got, excuse me, I have no issue with that, Katie. I think that it's got to get moved forward. I think we'll put it to council. Is that, you good with that, John? Or Joe? John, you just talking with John. Sorry about that.
Deja?
Yeah, John. Hey, Jim, are you good with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I don't, this is a no brainer. Like I said, I didn't realize we had put money in for a sweeper. I thought we were going to rent one. That one got by me, but that's okay. I'm glad to see we got that newish sweeper. It looks really good. So yep. I think Katie, we're good to move it forward to council.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Oh, the infrastructure failure is the next one. I was wondering what was going on over there. So fill us in, Katie.
So this started not last weekend, the weekend before. The foreman called me Saturday morning with concerns and with requesting guidance for next steps and what he could do. So I did approve them calling in ABT. We couldn't get the GFL truck, so Al did call the ABT truck to come in and flush the line, because we had used the rods to try to push through the blockage, but it kept bending all the rods. So now we're going to have to replace a number of rods. So those have been ordered. But so that was Saturday afternoon. They worked on it pretty much all of Saturday. By Saturday evening, I did have some numbers for the bigger contractors to come with the larger trucks. ABT did do the trip just to get the flow going, but we knew that that wasn't going to solve the main problem. We needed a larger sucker truck, which we don't have in Glen River. So we were able to get the number. They were called out again on Sunday. And when they called me Sunday, I provided them with the truck information for the GFL large sucker truck out of Sault Ste. Marie. They called them, they were here first thing Monday morning, and they pulled out all kinds of stuff from that line. And that would have been between Lawton and Scott Street at that point. So then we called the camera truck to come, which they came on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. And they started from Lawton and worked their way to the middle, but they also went from the other direction. So from the bottom of Huron Hill back towards Lawton, and were obstructed. So the camera was actually stuck and broke in the line. So they had to get it out from there. So we know that we have an obstruction on either side. So between Huron Hill and Scott Street, there's 2 obstructions. The truck did come back. Their 360 truck did come back, and you would have seen them there late last week and early this week.
Yeah.
They're removing bricks, like brick pieces about this large, and some larger, some smaller, and pieces of the blue, green, the aqua PVC piping. They're pulling that out of the line. So there's quite a bit of obstruction in that line. So that tells me, and I did discuss with Chris Kirby yesterday as well, it tells us that there's holes somewhere in the pipe if we're pulling out chunks of that PVC piping. So somewhere along the line, we think we have a collapse. But until it's completely cleaned out, they can't come back in camera. So we're hoping to get the camera done either today or tomorrow, which will give us a better picture of what's going on in there. There's some options that we can look at, possibly depending on the break. We can get a liner put in. So that would be the cheapest way to do it if it's not a major collapse. If it's a major collapse, which is kind of the way that Al is thinking, that there's going to be some bigger pieces, we will have to dig and repair and replace, not repair, replace. I would suggest if we're going to dig, let's replace the whole line along that section, get that done.
For sure.
Check the water line at the same time and then replace. I don't know if anybody's been on Woodward. I know it's a busy street, but it has taken a beating this year. There's large potholes along there too. So this is, I mean, it's not a newer street pavement wise. I mean, it is newer than some, but it's in rough conditions. So we would have to replace all of the pavement along there as well. This is an expensive endeavor if this has to be done.
Mhm.
But I wanted to bring you up to speed with it. I don't have numbers. I don't have a lot with it, but I wanted to raise your awareness to this, and that I am working on how we finance it if we need to. So we do have some sewer reserve, and we will have money left in the OCIF, even with the use of the funds for the generators, as well as the Huron crossing. We did receive more money from OCIF this year. So we're sitting over $1 million in that fund. So it should help offset any costs on the Cosley Street intersection replacement that we didn't get to last year, as well as the generators, as well as help offset the costs on Woodward. But these are all ones that we're going to have to look at. This is critical infrastructure, so it's not something that we can put off for another year.
So Katie, there's still a blockage in there. Like, how's it flowing? Like, does it not flow towards Huron?
So it does, but what happens is that system is also affected by the flushing from the water plant. So that back flushing also hits there, and when it hits, it's pushing it, pressurizing and pushing it into the 93 Woodward's basement when there's a blockage.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's got to get done. So if you have numbers,
We will get the
really-
most cost-effective way. Sorry?
if you do get numbers, sorry, Jim, I'll just do this and
Okay.
then you're on. If you do have numbers for him back, just vote me in, just get her done. I know it might take a while, but I'll be April before I'm back to another meeting. So yeah, for sure, get it done, whatever the cost, because that is definitely we could end up with issues, probably, lawyer wise, if it continues, because the poor guy's basement, I understand that. Anyways, go ahead, Jim, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you touched upon it. Where are we at with liabilities? I mean, having that happen, I'm trying to think to my basement once, but then come along, have it happen twice. I'd be a little livid, and I'd be maybe starting to put out some bad press to my neighbors, over something like this here. And, we're going to take one on the nose. But downtime, Katie, let's say everything gels together here and we're able to go after, all our ducks in a row here. Are these people, like, I know they're out of service, but I mean, along that section, like how long of a length are they out? When we start this project, are they out a month without a toilet, or?
No, we would work around it, similar to what we did on Michigan. So there would be certain times during the day where we cut them off, but there would be certain times that they would still. So it wouldn't be out of service for even a day. Like we would stagger it, and that would be planning on behalf of the engineer, but we would ensure that no, we're not going to block them off so that they can't have service. We would essentially, they prep everything, they get everything ready to go, they shut off the service, and then they replace the line.
Okay, and are we looking like literally from Lawton to Huron, bottom of Huron Hill?
Currently, that's what I'm thinking, from that section minimum. But I did notice yesterday they were sewer for sure. I don't know what the water infrastructure is like under there.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at killing two ducks with one stone here. Could we, because it's going to take new pavement, could we foresee bring a pavement a little further, out past the shark tank or near the school, near the school, because there's some, like you said, they're popping up all over the place. It's literally deteriorating the pavement, you know, in that spot. You know where I'm talking about, eh? Up a little further east of Huron.
Even in front of the high school, it's really bad there too.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I noticed that on my way out.
And that's a newer section in that area, Katie. That was done
Yeah.
10, 12 years ago. So,
Well, probably a little longer than that, but yeah, it is newer than most areas. But what I will do with the engineers, once we have the camera inspections back, is go through those videos with them, take a look at it, and then come up with the best approach. If we have paving crews in town, absolutely, now's the time to pave it. But I do want to have them investigate some of the outflows from the water treatment plant too before we do that, because it does go up here on it. And I just want to make sure that we're not putting pavement over something that we may have to dig up again. So I want to make sure that we investigate this as much as possible and ask as many questions as possible before we start the plan of the project.
mhm. Yeah, and you could be right that it was more than 12. I think Lou Moise was still the foreman. I remember them doing that project. So, okay, go ahead, Jim. You had something?
Yeah, I mean, I know we put off, we talked about the Huron Street project, and that's been a couple of years now. You know, we've put it off and put it off. And I think we also put it off again this year, correct? Like that, the complete process of doing that Huron Hill.
Yes.
Did we have anything, you know, on the burners prior to this year blockage that maybe could be discussed?
Yeah, so we did look at putting, there was money put aside in the budget. Sorry, because I didn't do the public works budget this year. So there was money set aside in the budget for pavement resurfacing, which was 260,000. My recommendation to council, once I have the full amount of what this project is going to cost us, would be to move that money along with any of the OCIF and sewer reserve that we have available to us to cover these costs. So we're not having to, you know, use next year's budget for this project. So we'll do as much creative accounting as we can so that we can stay within our bottom line. So right now we're just in a holding pattern for any of the other resurfacing that we were thinking of doing. The back road resurfacing, that will be done through the gas tax, but I'm talking about pavement resurfacing like we did up on Woodward this year. So we'll definitely utilize those funds. With regard to Huron Hill, we did put into the province when they released the funding for Northern Development and Mines, funding that came out that we're allocated over the next 3 years. I can't remember the amount, X amount of money over the next 3 years. We've allocated that to Huron Hill. That money had to be earmarked for certain projects. You couldn't just say, I want to do a road. You have to show how that road was used to transport any goods, natural goods from the north. So we used the background that a lot of logging trucks, as well as our aggregate from the JI and Beamish, also utilize that throughway to get to the highway, to get to Cosley Street. So that was the rationale behind that. So it fit the grant criteria. So over the next 3 years, we will be putting those funds into that project. So we will be able to complete that project. And then what we'll do is you can top it up and stack that money. So we'll stack it if we're able to get OCIF. We can also, that will also give us time to finish the new water source, because there's the possibility that some of those lines coming through Huron Hill to the plant will need to be replaced as part of that. So this is going to give us some time. So that's the plan with Huron Hill. We'll continue to patch it. But I would like to bring forward a full report on the plan for that. So when council is questioned from residents, why aren't we doing Huron Hill? This is why, this is the plan, and this is how much we're putting away for that, so that we're not hitting the tax base for the full amount.
Okay. Katie, just off the top of your head, the Woodward out by my area, what did that cost us last year?
or something, I believe.
So if that stretch, just what I'm getting at is, if it was 400 and something, say $500,000, so we're probably looking at 1.5 plus to do that Woodward, because we have to dig it all up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we might even be looking at $2 million. So is there any other, I know Jim touched on this, but what about, did we plan on doing any work on Dawsey this year? The Dawsey Bridge, or
We,
can we put that away?
we planned on doing pre-engineering.
Okay.
So yesterday during our project meeting with Chris, I've just asked him to just back burner that project. So if we
Okay.
have to move money from that section, we'll bring it to council and I request that we move money from there over to this Woodward project. So that could cover our engineering. So yeah, there's definitely the pre-engineering we have right now is $50,000 in the budget. But there's also a carryover from 2021. The treasurer just hasn't shared that information with me yet, what that carryover is. So once I see those numbers, it also will give us a better idea. I know that there was overages from 2021 that we still have that need to move over to reserves. So before we start putting things into earmarking them for certain reserves, I need to know what this project's going to cost us so that we can make the right decision with the money we have.
Sure. Okay. We'll have at her. Are you good, Jim?
We're just wanted to mention too, we're also looking at the communications tower. Council had pre-approved the $200,000 for that project. Right now, Mr. Raymond's investigating with the MNR that they may be able to turn over their tower that they have, which means that we won't have to use this $200,000. That will save us substantially if we can utilize that tower. We're just waiting for them to find the proper records that they need to have in order to turn it over to us. So that's another $200,000 that we may be able to utilize. So we're working hard on trying to find money for this project.
So with that tower, Katie, just out of curiosity, do we know how old it is? And I guess with the records that'll come in, but just wondering how long this one's going to last.
It's in much better condition than the current one we have. And then
Okay.
that will buy us more time too. So then, okay, so that's X years old. We'll have it inspected. From that inspection, they can give us a life expectancy. And then council can start putting away maybe $10,000 annually to replace that one or whatever that money may be. But I understand that it's in much better shape and was a much better quality tower when it was erected. So it looks like it would be a much better investment for the municipality rather than spending $200,000 at this time.
Okay. And where is it, Katie?
I don't have the exact location. Mr. Raymond's looking after that file.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, if this tower is going to save us that big amount of building new, but with this here tower and the inspections that come along with this, does this privy, you know, going forward, what we had expected for this new tower, you know, leapfrog, communications, people going on to it. I guess our biggest problem was a safety thing with the old tower, that maybe we shouldn't even be going up this tower to where we are now with receiving a tower. So could we still continue putting the services on this freebie, let's say?
Yes. Short answer is yes. There's
Okay.
some things that we do need to rectify. One of those being that we need to really look at who's on the tower currently. And I would like some direction on moving forward and approaching North Shore Power Group, who's currently on that tower at no fee. Everyone else is paying a fee, and I think that they too should be paying a fee to the municipality to have their equipment on that tower. It's costing us money. We see that now. We know that. These fees are being collected from everyone else, and I think that they should be collected from North Shore Power Group as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, did we also not, or we were going to look into it with our friends to the west, Mississauga First Nation, to see if they may come on board or may require a tower, you know, for communications of their own, or did we
Yes.
get any information back on that?
Yes, that's absolutely true. We have provided them with a request for in the amount of $80,000 that they have funding that they've received for their fire department. So this would allow them to have their equipment on the tower, and we would enter into an agreement with them that they would have the space at no charge for X amount of years based on this contribution.
Okay. Now, just to follow up, was that for the proposed new tower we were building? Or will this,
So it,
you know, this may go over two of them, you know, this tower and maybe possibly onto a new tower someday. I don't know. I'm just wondering if that MOU or agreement would follow.
so my approach to this will be, if we don't go with the new, then we would go with the older one, but it would be an enhanced just service because it's taller than the current one we have. So I would still request the same amount of money that would be able to undertake the studies that we need to do, the licensing that we need to do, all of the, you know, the things to move everything over to that tower. And then enter into the same agreement that would be for X amount of years. And if we needed to buy a new tower in the future, they could still move their equipment onto that tower.
Okay, thank you.
It's not been formalized yet. So once it is formalized, that formal proposal will come to council for approval before anything is signed.
All right. Do we have anything under correspondence? Any new business? Because I know we don't really have that on there, but anything new other than the tower, I guess. No?
We're working through a few personnel issues at Public Works. We have some shortages. So I would like to bring forward to council, and I'm considering doing or possibly holding maybe a special closed session with council to discuss some personnel issues for the director position, as well as possibly looking at or entertaining hiring two full-time temporary positions for the Public Works Department to get us through some of these issues. But I can lay that out in more detail in a closed session
Okay,
with the full of council.
all right. You had something, Jim?
Just, I mean, we are talking infrastructure here. Can you, Chair Roy or Katie, can you tell me from our dam, our Blind River Dam, over to the town hall, if my memory, it doesn't fail me, do we not have infrastructure there of wire to carry current to put the town hall onto power over there?
So yes, we do have the infrastructure, but we've disconnected it. It went to the courthouse, and we've disconnected that cable, the one cable going from the box in the parking lot across to the town hall. That has been disconnected for the demo.
Okay, but from the transformer back to the power dam, it's still in the ground there.
Yes.
Okay, something coming forward.
So the engineers have looked at that. They took that into consideration when we were looking at the backup generator as well, and how that would run and how that would work. There was a lot of discussion around that. It's not set up optimal. So, and in speaking with Bernie as well, who was part of the installation. So yeah, it's there. There is some work that needs to be done, but it's the way it's connected and the way it was set up and the way the contract is with Hydro. It would be really great once North Shore Power Group gets the information that we need from them for the dam,
Okay.
to be able to move forward. Until we have that information, it's really hard to make any kind of concrete decision.
Okay, that no, that's good information. That's all I have, Chair Roy.
All right, thank you, Jim. Anything else?
I just wanted to note that I didn't have on here like a list of everything that's been going on, but essentially we're doing winter maintenance. So snow plowing, removing snow as much as we can, and we're out thawing the catch basins so that the ice isn't backing up into people's homes. So that's pretty much the rotation. Not a lot to put on the list. There's a lot of work, just repetitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Streets look good, and I think that we're in line, and hopefully, knock on wood, not getting any floods this year. So, in people's basements, I mean, yards, whatnot.
Not out of the woods there yet, because they're talking like heavy rains this summer,
Mhm.
climate change, whatever you want to call it. I'm just looking at the prolonged forward forecast here, and it's going to change. We're going to be looking at, we're going to have our own set of new problems eventually, but hopefully
Yep.
we're in a position by then, to be able to handle it.
All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, looking for an adjournment.
So move.
Moved by Jim, seconded by me, and we're adjourning at 9:34 a.m. I'll see you guys at water.
10 o'clock.
Yep. Thank you. Bye now.